the crumbling has just begun. There's still a long way to go. I gave an example in a different space where I was saying this thing has been engineered and structured in such a way that it's like a very huge structure that has been set up. It has got many components to it, and the only way to dismantle it is by using different methods and different approaches in order to dismantle that kind of project to the ground. So it is not a singular approach that you use, but you use different methods, different tools, different tactics and methodologies to break down this sophisticated structure. Why? Because there is so much intentionality when it comes to the people who are pushing this forward. And I want to address a part where someone was talking about uh, why not having consultations, why not having um, people speaking prior to the tabling of the bill to cabinet and before it is taken to the speaker. I will assure you that this kind of regime will definitely convince you that in one way or the other they have done these so-called consultations, because it is in their nature to sort of craft things in such a way that they will tell you that we have actually in fact did consultations. We went around the country, we were talking to people, and and they'll tell you how in that period that they were doing those consultations there was no, effectively there was no opposition. They will tell you that at that time nothing was happening in terms of the alternative. So this is how we build our momentum up to the national conference. They'll tell you a lot of things that will sort of put you in a place where the ordinary person will think that, well, in fact, maybe the consultations were done. This is why I'm saying it's not a single approach that you use when you are dealing with such a kind of mutilation of the constitution, with such kind of a sophisticated structure. I listened to the professors actually debating, and I noticed one thing, which, if you know Prof. Moyo enough, or if you have followed him for a while, you realize that this is the kind of approach that he has used over the years, where he spends time using reverse psychology to characterize the other person as dramatic, as unserious, as lacking relatable empirical wisdom, as someone who's choosing not to understand, as premature, as immature, as juvenile. You see, they take time to, simply because the other person in the debate has referred to the persona of the speaker, as well as the proponents of the bill itself. So you will find that a lot of time was spent uh, with Moyo justifying uh, his position and justifying his standing, to say I deserve to actually be defending this. However, he wasn't addressing the actual facts that were at hand and that were being presented by Mavedzenge. And Pandazoona kuti he has sort of been crushed out of the whole thing when he was constantly being referred to to the what's that one? I'm forgetting the name, but the judgments, the judgments, or is it the Mupungu judgment? When he was being referred to the Mupungu judgment, and he ended up saying,
The Mawari and the Mapungu judgment, both of
yes,
them.
yes, both of them, yes, yes. And where I saw that now he is now, you know, suffering at the mercy of defeat is that he said the inclusion of judgments, particularly that section 95.2, you know, speaks to the term limits provisions. The inclusion of judgment of those judgments, according to Jonathan Moy, it is imprisoning and it is nonsensical. And yet these judgments are judgments that were put forward by the highest court in terms of constitutional matters, but he considers them as imprisoning and he considers them as nonsensical. So he starts using words that then sort of decharacterize and loosen the power of what had been referred to by the other speaker. So that's at that point I realized that pakungoshanda hasha pakungoshanda my emotions nezvakadaro zvakadaro, but in terms of the actual debate at that point it was over in favor of Mavedzeng. And I would also want to bring up a point here, Kuti. Uh, like I said, this is a huge, sophisticated structure that needs to be dismantled using different tools. I hear a lot of people talking about referendum, saying, "Why is he not? I mean, why is this proposal um, dismissing the idea of a referendum?" And everyone is sort of anchoring on the point to say, why are you refusing a referendum? Why are you refusing a referendum? Why, why not a referendum? Which I understand will be very important in the discourse. But we also need to remind each other that it is not only the referendum in itself that will sort of dismantle this whole structure. Why? Because there is capacity and capability to manipulate again even the referendum if it was going to if it was going to take place. So as Zimbabweans, our course of action is not supposed to just anchor on the fact that we want a referendum, because if that is where all your eggs are, if that is the only basket, if a referendum is the only basket where all your eggs are, they will give you that referendum and they will manipulate it in one way or the other. However, the approach that is supposed to be used is one that puts eggs in different baskets, where people are advocating and people are actively and effectively fighting against this whole thing in its very nature, not only the aspect of why are you denying us of a referendum. So it has not yet crumbled. To answer the question on the topic, there is a lot to be done. This is just the beginning. Thank you.